Sorry, I'm
Hi.
just trying
I'm
to
good.
get
I
myself
just
sorted out.
I have to do all that. Okay.
How are you, Tony? How are you doing? Well,
I'm
I guess
good.
yeah, we'll get this thing started in a little bit. For everybody that's joining, please mute your microphones until.
I'm so excited.
Here we go. Here's a few more people.
Hi.
All right. Hi, Ashna. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Excited to have you all here. Welcome everybody. My name is Tyler Hampong. I'm the shootout coordinator. A lot of you have participated this year. We all Film Lab. He is streaming this Q&A live to Periscope right now. So hello, Periscope. Tonight we are very honored to welcome Anthony Meindl as our special guest. He is a mentor. He is a mentor and judge for the 72-hour film shootout, which means that he has seen all of your films. He is the mentor for the Outstanding LGBT Filmmaker and LGBTQ Performer Awards, which are our inaugural awards this year. We're very excited about them. They will be announced at the Asian American International Film Festival for a couple of years now, and I totally recommend you watch his blog. How are you doing?
It's so good to see you. I love your pink wall. Hi, everybody.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. I love Tyler Hampong. I miss your face. It's great to see you virtually. Hi, everybody. I know a few of you, a lot of you guys, I feel like, well, we're all artists, so we're all in it in spirit together. And geez, the world we're living in, we need artists like yourselves more than ever. So I'm just here to encourage you. I had the great pleasure of watching, I don't remember how many, there were a lot of shootout films, and I was really impressed by everybody's creativity and their curiosity in how they saw the world, and also like working with the sort of restrictions you had, like not only just in terms of the festival, but in terms of like being in quarantine. I mean, it seems so long ago, right? Now here we're in August and you guys shot in March probably, right? I don't remember, but
it was in June. In June.
Oh God, in June. Okay,
shot.
still. Yeah, okay. So we were just kind of deep. We're still deep in it, I guess. But so yeah, I'm just here to talk about anything. I can give some mentorship, advice, inspiration, anecdotal stories, anything I can help. I always like to be in service to actors. We have acting studios all over the world, and I just feel like it's an amazing community. And I'm still an actor, even though I'm directing and writing and directing a lot of stuff. And so, yeah, I'm here to help. And I think it's also important, like, that I'm gay, so I give a different perspective on, storytelling. But yeah, I mean, thank you. But I mean, we just need other storytellers besides white dudes. No offense to the white, awesome straight dudes on here. It's great. But I do think it's really important that it's just really important. So I commend you all for telling your stories that are often not represented.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Tony. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and type them, or let me know that we want to. Yeah, exactly. Don't be bashful. This is your time. You are the stars of the show, the filmmakers. But I guess let's start off with kind of a dual easy/hard question. Tony, what is your acting philosophy?
Oh, wow. I just coached this guy, literally, I've been on Zooms all day, I think. Actually, I have my blue, you're supposed to wear them if you're on computer all the time. These are my nerdy blue tint. So I'm going to wear them so my eyes don't continuously feel like they're strained. But I just coached this kid, and he never super talented. Like, his self-tapes are good. His agency's a little concerned. Like, he's tested for things, but not booked anything. And I think in many ways, I don't think an actor should ever worry, if you're getting that far along in going to producers or testing for something, things are working out. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's just numbers and it's not the quite your right timing yet. But I noticed that he, like a lot of actors, overthinks and plays ideas of who he thinks this character is supposed to look like. And I think that's the challenge of life. We have these ideas of what we think our lives are supposed to be like. Meanwhile, look at what a pandemic has shown you. Life is happening as it's happening, unfolding moment to moment. And so the way I work with actors is get them to just fully engaged in the moment through listening and reacting and doing it the way you want to do it. And you guys, that itself is an act of rebellion. That itself is an act of celebrating who you are, giving zero fucks, not disrespectfully, but just being, this is who I am. I'm not trying to be anybody else. When you, meaning you, speaking for you, when the actor goes into the audition, unapologetically doing it your way. And there's an energy around it. There is a life force and something exciting and vital about you that is different than Tyler. And Tyler is different, you know, than Joseph. I know some of you on here. And like, so you don't have to try to be anybody else or a replication of who you think a person is supposed to be. You have to be all you. And that's, again, to me, just a ballsy thing to do and be. And I just, every actor that I've ever worked with who has broken through, and this kid, I guess the point is so this kid, I made him really trust himself in his own listening and reacting and doing it the way he wanted to do it. And he's like, oh my God, I've never had an experience like that before. And I'm not saying it's me doing it. He realized like, oh gosh, why am I not giving myself the permission to have fun and do it my way? So that is really what I teach, or what we teach. Does that make sense? I get really excited about it. You can tell me to calm down.
No, that absolutely makes sense. Yeah, so on this vein of just being you and bringing yourself to the character and yourself to the screen, a lot of people have theatrical training and have a kind of system that's drilled into their performance. How do you deal with actors who come with you with that luggage?
Well, I think all training is great. And if you haven't trained, that's also okay, because life is the best training school. You know what I mean? If any of you have young kids, they're your best acting teachers. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think there's any right or wrong way. And you should never compare your journey to anybody else's. You know, if you haven't gone to Juilliard, that's okay. It's okay if somebody has gone to Juilliard, but that doesn't mean you have to follow that path. Again, I think it's just really important that we honor our own way in. And, you know, again, this kid had won the high school, I didn't even know there was such a thing, and I'm an educator, but like he won the high school equivalent in musical theater of the Tony Award a couple of years ago, I guess. So he was very steeped in musical theater training, right? And to me, a lot of, I think, what I help actors do and what I help maybe this young man understand is like, I think oftentimes in our training, we're told to put things on, to correct ourselves, to compensate, sometimes we have to do it in life. Sometimes it's a survival mechanism. We have to become somebody that, you know, in order to get through life. But I find that acting is really about just removing all the things that we have put on ourselves that keep us from being vulnerable, that keep us from really expressing ourselves. Oh, I cry a lot. I just kind of feel like the tears are starting to come. Have my Kleenex at the ready. And I get it, as we see in the like Black Lives Matter movement, as we see in like social justice, when Black and brown people cannot walk down the street without risking their own lives, of course, they're having to put something on themselves. And I think culture is a very dangerous sort of thing in many ways, because it forces us sometimes in a societal system to cooperate or be what people want us to be. And I think it's very dangerous. I think acting is the art of anarchy, and you have to be an anarchist. Y'all were, I think, whether you realize it or not, in your films, you're telling stories that you want to tell. That's an art of anarchy. So I go off on tangents. I hope you're all with me. Okay.
No, that's great. That actually ties into something else that I wanted to ask you, because you take on hot button issues like
Ooh,
mass
yes.
shootings and climate change. I mean, does it scare you to tackle those huge
Yes.
subjects? And okay, that answers that question. But how do you approach them respectfully and accurately to the subject matter and the people involved?
Thanks, Tyler. Listen, I think this is just for me. I've always been the two things that I'm most passionate about are acting. Oh, sorry. I really love actors and like what it means to be an actor, and using acting to awaken our social activism. Those are the two most important things. I think that's what we're all here on this planet to be, is to be activists in our own life. And again, to be radically who we are is a form of activism, because we live in a society that wants people to be sheep people. You know what I mean? And so for me, I feel like the art of film, or the art of telling story, is to share with humanity or society, to reflect back to society where we are, where we're not, where we are really like failing, to help people be more human. I think that's our responsibility. That's for me. That's how I get excited about those kind of films. I know some people love genre films or action movies and stuff like that, and maybe they have a message for people. But I just feel like I want to tackle a slice of what you all, or we all, are experiencing at the most human level. So the movie that I have on Hulu is called Where We Go From Here, and it deals with gun violence, but they're just 3 love stories that culminate in, again, a socially, look at that kid, that teenager, I don't even know his name, I just saw it, like, you know, that just happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Like we could all be living our lives and all of a sudden somebody has a gun. So it explores, what does that mean about our society? So I'm interested in tackling these things because I think we need to understand them at the human level. I have also, I mean, Tyler, I'll maybe post later on at the end of this, or give everybody the info. I have this other movie that Tyler has helped me do some editing on, that is kind of like, it's a hybrid. It's not a documentary, but it documents how I work with students and the storytelling aspect of being an artist. And there are 10 interlocking stories. It deals with climate change and mental, domestic abuse, mental health, ageism, and just our place in the cosmos. But it's really funny. It's not like heavy. I mean, I think the stories are also funny. But we're screening on Monday night it's an outdoor screening event. Yes, it's totally socially distant. People wear masks. I'll give everybody the info if you're around on Monday night. It's a rooftop screening in the heart of Hollywood. And it's one of the few theaters that support indie artists. And so I'm excited that our movie is going to screen, because it's about things that I think is important for us to talk about, but also to support independent-led theater. And this guy is one of the few theaters that he has the Cine Lounge in Hollywood, and they really support independent filmmaking, and it's getting harder and harder. So anyway, I'll give you guys that info later, but.
Yeah, no, totally. We will make sure to grab that from you. We can type it into the enormous disruption COVID-19 has caused in the entertainment industry. What advice do you give to aspiring filmmakers trying to launch their projects over the next year?
Yeah, like, and does he have, is he on here? Can he maybe, or you can ask him, like, when you mean launch, you mean like you already have something done and trying to get it out there? Or can I have a little bit more?
He is here, but I don't know if he is, he might have quarantine hair, so he might not want to show his face, but
I mean,
oh, is that Aaron? Are you there? That's all right. If let's say you already have a project and festivals have all been delayed.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think, is that him? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Well, I mean, you guys, I'm hearing differing things, and I'm working with a producer, a consultant on this movie that's screening on Monday. And like, you know, here's the thing. Like, I do think if you have stuff that is in its post stages and is ready to get out there, you know, people are going to be looking for content. And I think we have to just keep moving forward, because I'm not quite sure what the new normal is going to look like, but like all of you who have been watching stuff, and I watched your stuff, like people want to watch things that they connect to, you know? And so I think in this, maybe it's going to be really exciting in this continuing COVID world for indie filmmakers and independent voices. I think, like, you know, Hollywood is such a machine that we're seeing, like, you know, the social justice movement, a reaction from Hollywood, but Hollywood as a system may take longer. But as independent artists and people who are not necessarily white, like, I think it's really great to be able to tell the stories that you want to see represented more often. You know, I think, like, from a casting perspective, because some of you are also actors, I know some of you are filmmakers or writers, but from an acting perspective, I think things are gonna open up because of the nature of how filming is happening regionally. So if you're an actor, you're not, like, pre-COVID, they would hire LA-based actors and fly them to wherever they were shooting. But I do know with productions that are happening in Atlanta, I have a client who's doing a big movie in London right now, like, wherever they're going to be shooting, they are not going to necessarily, the expense and also the COVID risks of flying a lot of name actors. I mean, if they need name actors for sure, but a lot of other supporting roles, they're going to cast locally. I was talking to a Vancouver agent on Monday, and I'm not saying y'all should, unless you have Canadian citizenship, or maybe we all should move to Canada. I don't know what's going to happen with the election, but I think she was saying how they're doing a lot more casting now for things that prior to COVID in Vancouver, they would have found LA actors. So, you know, I think it's going to be an exciting time where people are getting more opportunities who are not necessarily famous. So work on your stuff, kids. Did that answer the question?
I mean, it was a great answer. Yeah. Ashna actually has a question next. So if you want to unmute yourself, Ashna, go ahead and ask Tony a question.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
And congrats on your film on Hulu, by the way. That's awesome. I'm going to check it out. I do have, so it's a two-pronged question. So one is, for films that you said that are kind of close to the process of being done, or they have been completed, but they have not been visibly, they have not been made public. Do you have any experience kind of figuring out, like, the world of navigating how to pitch to, like, a network, for example, because you are seeing, like, Netflix and all of these big media giants kind of struggling because of COVID, especially in LA, and a lot of the bigger cities, they can't shoot. So either they're moving everything out of state or out of country, or they're buying up people's content just, you know, for now, because they're running out. So I was wondering if, one, you could speak to that, and then I'll ask you my second question.
Yeah, I mean, Asha, that's a great question. Listen, again, everybody has a different way. I think, you know, from my own experience, I think this is valuable for people. Like, you know, it's great that I have a movie on Hulu. And I will say, like, for this other movie, I'm now working with a different team of people to figure out maybe getting a distributor or getting it on a traditional platform isn't always the right thing for all projects, right? Like, what I've learned is for this movie, we had a sales agent based in Paris. They sold territories. As you know, I have done a number of shorts, but this is, like, technically my first bigger feature, even though it's still really super small. But, like, I maybe should have known more going in, because I don't think the contracts really were not the best for me now looking back. So yes, is it good for my visibility? Is it good for people to see my work? Yeah, so sometimes things can be a trade-off, right? Is it great for me to be able to say, oh, you can go check out my thing on Hulu, so because you guys have Hulu? Yes. But is it filmmaker friendly? Not always. So I think depending on your movie, sometimes, yes, maybe Netflix is the right thing for some of you based on, you know, a target audience or what the material is. But I think sometimes, like, we're so seduced by getting it somewhere without necessarily, is this really the best thing for me and for the movie and for the ongoing life of the movie? You know, the thing about these platforms is they're great for the first 30 days. So if you have a movie on Netflix or Hulu or the equivalent, the algorithm is all about tracking how many people watch for those first 30 days. After those 30 days, they do not care. They do not care. You're not making any more money based on like people watching your movie. So I do hope you go see my movie. I'm not seeing anything from it. You know what I mean? And Hulu does not care. So I think I advocate learning more, and maybe, you know, there's so many different platforms now. So I think just do your research. I'm always happy to, you know, I don't want to spend too much time, but like there's always different resources you can find that can help you. And I'll also say, I don't know if some of you are documentary filmmakers or you're exploring things that are maybe more socially relevant. You could also look at partnerships, like looking at, oh, I have this story about, I don't know, aging. So maybe you partner with, you know, you look up organizations or nonprofits that also are interested in that subject matter. I think it's a whole new world of getting our work out there. Did that kind of answer that question? I also think like Netflix, what I've heard is Netflix is really, is less likely to just buy like standalone individual movies. So you may have a great movie, but it might be very difficult. They don't really do that kind of stuff anymore. But
okay.
It could change.
Yeah, no.
And that doesn't mean you shouldn't approach them. You know what I mean?
Right. No, that was really helpful. Thank you. And I'll ask my second. There's a lot of people that had questions, so I'll just ask my second question after.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashna. Joseph Yang has a question next. Do you want to unmute yourself, Joseph, and go ahead and ask your question?
Go, Joe.
Yeah.
Go.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, Joe?
First of all, I love the stash.
Oh, yours is like you win the stash contest.
No, it's because I have black hair.
No, yours goes all like yours kind of even goes way over here. Okay.
Oh, yeah. This is my quarantine.
I aspire to that.
I got new headshots, so yeah, this is my life.
Okay, nice.
But yeah, I have a specific question as to like, because you've already done a lot of as far as like, you know, producing and directing your own stuff. Like, how does funding work for you? Like, besides doing GoFundMes, like, yeah, I think that, because that's always a hard thing, right? Especially as a producer.
Yeah, that is hard, finding money. I mean, again, I think we all know GoFundMe or different, you know, those kind of platforms. But for me, like I self-funded because it was just, these are things that I really felt like I have to tell these stories. And it was, you know, this one about the studio is an extension of the work that I'm doing with actors anyway. But so it's just an investment for me. But there were still really small budgets, like really small. But also, I think, you know, you can try to get somebody interested early on. So like what I was, you know, just saying to Ashna, like maybe you have a story that has some sort of angle where a nonprofit or an organization would be intrigued by partnering. You know what I mean? I think you guys, it's important to think creatively. You might be really surprised. Like I see that Rocky poster back there. So maybe your movie is about boxing. Maybe you hit up like an organization, a CrossFit boxing place. You never know. Like, I think companies, not even just nonprofits, companies are interested in like multiple platform branding. So like if they know that there's an opportunity to get exposure because of a movie, that might be one way. I think the other thing, Joseph, is to try to get producers on board. It's really difficult to do it all yourself, and it's hard, you know? And like, I've had some great producers, but also producing happens, you know, at, you know, a lot of the expenses come in post, and then maybe having to finish the movie. So sometimes it's just trying to get yourself out there and finding partners, and then having a producer who knows someone who knows someone. You guys, you got to remember that our business is really all about asking. You should never be ashamed in asking anybody for anything. I'm in the business of helping people, and I think most people in the business are. Like, you know, I may not have the right answer for someone who asked me something, but I might know somebody who can help you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So I think, and go for the lowest fruit. Like, you'd be surprised. Oh, I know somebody who knows somebody. Ask.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope that helps.
Thanks, Joseph, for your question. Let's move on to Adrian Pengilinan, who typed his question in. He asks, how does one even begin to navigate in the space of getting their work seen, or opportunities to even pitch their work?
Yeah. Adrian, that's a good question. Like, but I do think the great world we're living in now is that, you know, there's so many platforms, right? You could put it up on YouTube. You could show little snippets of it on, I'm not on TikTok. Oh my gosh. But like on TikTok, sorry for those of you who are, I'm not judging you. I'm just not a 12-year-old. Like, I mean, but Instagram, whatever, like you can find different ways to start showing your stuff. And there's a podcaster named Seth Godin. He's like he's a tech guru. But he talks about like, and I think this is really valuable for me and for all of us to remember, you guys, is to not overthink what you're doing and just, he calls it shipping it. And his thing is he doesn't work in the actor space or he's written many, many books, but his whole thing is about shipping. It means you create something and you put it out there. That's your job. Your job is not to track how many people like it or who's interested. Your job is to put it out there because that's what we do as creators. And his thing is also about shipping it to the lowest hanging fruit. So you have a community here, you share it amongst your community, and that community has a rippling effect. You see what I'm saying? That it used to be that we would try to like get it to people that we didn't know in some other space, or to somebody else who we thought has the answers, or to some corporation. And he, in his science and his work, social science, has proven that the gatekeepers are changing. The gatekeepers are people like you and I, our constituents, if you will. You know what I mean? So I think, I know that sounds general, but again, I think you all are on social media. You don't have to have millions of followers. I have a book. Tyler just mentioned this book that I just came out. It's on Amazon. Oh my God, I'm plugging my book, but whatever. But it's gay shorts. It's short stories about my life. And obviously I grew up gay in the Midwest during the 1980s. And it was like, oh my God, it was like living in communist Russia. It was like scary to be gay, like Mike Pence state. That's where I'm from, right? But the stories are very universal. So I'm hoping that actors who work and study with me also want to read stories about my life, meaning I'm not trying to pitch to anybody else. I'm trying to share my stories with people who get me. So people will get you, guys. I think we should not overthink that. People are going to get you. Yeah. Just don't sit on it. Don't sit on it. If it's done, oh my God, I don't want to push send. Push send, get it out there. Who cares? What's the worst? Somebody doesn't like your stuff, so what? Show of hands. Do you watch things on Netflix or whatever? It can be anywhere. We'll just use Netflix because there's like 10 billion shows. Do you watch? Okay, great. Y'all watch things on Netflix. How many of you watch things on Netflix that people say is so amazing and you watch it and you're like, eh? Yes. It's subjective is my point. So don't worry about it. Some people are going to think your stuff is like the bomb, and some people are going to be like, I don't get it. I don't get a lot of things that people get. I'm like, that's just not my jam. It's okay.
Awesome. So Jenna has a question next. I guess, Jenna, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, sure. So it's a big honor to be able to ask you a question. So
Thanks,
hi.
Jenna.
Oh, and sorry to cut you off. We have 6 minutes left. So just to keep in mind for your time.
6. Oh shit.
No,
Okay.
yeah, we have 6 minutes left.
Okay.
So I just recently graduated from high school in Midwestern Iowa, and I'm about to move to Chicago for the first time for college. And I have some background theater experience to my name, and dabbled a little here and there on social media. But I'm scared about moving to a big city and just like, I don't know, the real world of what acting could look like. And I was wondering how I could get started, like agents, training, like all of that's like, I don't know where to start first or what to do in such a big city. And yeah, I was wondering if you had any tips to get started or go out there. Yeah.
Well, Jenna, it's brave for you, and it's brave for everybody on here who's just, you got to just follow your heart. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can't, I mean, I guess you could like, you know, be a legend in your own basement in a small town in Ohio, but like, I just don't think, like, I love that people are moving to cities where it's, you know, culturally and artistically important. So We have a school in Chicago, but you know what I mean? Like, I think I'm happy. You can always DM me on Instagram and I can come up with some other resources. And I think just asking people here might have some connections in Chicago. And I think if you find community, you'll start to get plugged in. And I think the thing about life is like, feel the fear and do it anyway. It's natural that you're like, oh my God, it's the big city. And then you're gonna get there and you're gonna be like, oh, here's the thing about the big city. Actually, this is from my book, but I'm just realizing this. When I first moved to New York, I was like, oh my God, New York. And I like put the pause on it for so long until I finally did it. And then I realized like, oh my God, New York is not what I thought it was. You know what it is? It's a bunch of people from everywhere else in the Midwest who've moved to New York to pursue their dreams, just like me. So nobody's an expert. See what I'm saying? So what? It's Chicago. There's just more people there. But everybody's just trying to figure it out, just like you will be. I wish somebody told me that. It would have saved me a lot of time.
Awesome. Thank you for that question.
Okay. All right.
All right. We have 4 minutes left.
Oh my
Before
God.
we
Okay,
go, I know time flies, right? I just want to thank you, Tony. We're going to have one more question from Joe Ball that we'll run the clock out with, but I just wanted to thank you, Tony, and thank everybody for being here, and follow us on social media at ASAMFilmLab. Let's go ahead and end this with Joe's question. Joe, are you ready?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, yeah.
Yes.
Great. Given, I'll try to make this quick since we're short on time. Given an opportunity to do a reading or have an audition, and you're looking at your sides and you think that the script is cringy or sexist or problematic, what is the best way to handle that when you still want to work, but you don't like it?
Good question, Joe. Well, Joe, here's the thing. I think for actors, everybody has their own sort of like ethics, morality, like gauge, you know what I mean? And I think you should never do, life is too short and acting is not that big of a deal in the big scheme of things. You should never do something that you find offensive. It puts anybody at risk. Like, you know what I mean? I think women are subjected to that a lot more than men, but like men as well. Like, and I think we're living in a day and age if like there's something that's, you know, overtly or subliminally racist, or you just find to not really be the kind of storytelling you want to be a part of, say no. What is it? It's not, I don't think any one job makes or breaks us anyway. So I think you always have to just go with your guided heart and trust that your heart knows, you know? I think we want to, now that's different than judging something because it's not the best thing. You know what I mean? So maybe you're playing like some high school character and you're like, okay, I mean, it's not that inspiring, but try not to judge it, but there's nothing like offensive in it. That's different than something that is like, wait, what? Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Right.
Tyler, I just put
Yes,
the
go
info
ahead.
for the screening on Monday night, and anybody can hit me up on Instagram, and I'm gonna post it probably later today or tomorrow. You'll have the info there too. No matter what people say, just keep going.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Bye,
everybody,
guys.
for
I'm so
being here.
sad to leave. Okay.